The spread of COVID-19 means some prisoners could be getting out early. Tonight, our investigator uncovers many on the list are in prison for crimes against children. You wear a mask, you keep 6 feet apart, and stay home when you can. But coming up, the one mistake parents are making that could end up taking a toll on their kids' health. Talking football. Baker Mayfield is hoping 3 is his lucky number. What he's saying about year number 3 and working with his 3rd head coach in 3 years. Moving forward, Destination Cleveland's plan to bring business back to Cleveland.
From the WKYC studios, this is What Matters Most.
Good evening to you. I'm Laura Queso.
And I'm Russ Mitchell. We begin tonight with news of how a Supreme Court decision could now mean the release or transfer of more than 300 inmates at Elkton Prison convicted of child pornography. That ruling is just the latest in a battle pitting coronavirus concerns against the safety of communities. 3 News investigator Rachel Polanski has the latest.
More than 1 month ago, prison officials were ordered to identify the most vulnerable inmates at Elkton, those over age 65 and those in poor health. Since then, we know of just 3 inmates who have left the prison, each one in a body bag.
We've been extremely disappointed at the Bureau of Prisons' progress in meeting the requirements of that order.
But now that the Supreme Court has gotten involved, the low-security prison faces a potential large-scale transfer of inmates to less dangerous types of custody.
What we're doing is trying to be very careful, very respectful of the local courts, very respectful of the local victims, very respectful of public safety. That's why we set a pretty strict or very strict criteria.
Elkton prison officials have identified 837 medically vulnerable inmates. So who are these guys? Well, 337 of them, or 40%, are doing time for child pornography or sex trafficking crimes. This Marion man, 42-year-old Craig Shaber, was sentenced just last year to 2 decades in Elkton prison for attempted sex trafficking of minors, after police say he tried to offer cash in exchange for sex with 2 young girls. And this Pennsylvania man, a convicted sex offender, 40-year-old Timothy Kelly, was sentenced 12 years at Elkton for child pornography and indecent behavior with a minor. While child porn charges make up the lion's share, 34% of the medically vulnerable inmates at Elkton are there on drug-related charges, 10% on firearm or gun-related charges, and the rest are doing time for sex abuse, fraud, robbery, burglary, or racketeering. For a look at my work and exactly how I got my data, you can head on over to WKYC.com. Russ.
Rachel, any update on Jimmy DeMora, who is at Elkton? We know he tested positive for coronavirus over the weekend and has been trying to get transferred out of the prison.
Yep, I just talked with his attorney, and he says that DeMora is in quarantine with about 50 other inmates who have COVID-19. They're all being housed in the visiting area. His symptoms are limited to headaches. He does turn 65 next month and is in poor health. He uses a wheelchair to get around, but he is not confined to a wheelchair.
Okay.
Russ.
Rachel Polanski, thank you.
A grim milestone today in the pandemic. The U.S. has now passed 100,000 coronavirus deaths. Meantime, a bit of a downward trend in new cases here in Ohio. 433 new COVID-19 cases have been reported in the past 24 hours. That's down from 529 cases the previous day. 33,439 Ohioans have come down with the coronavirus, and 2,044 have died. And as the numbers of cases rise, it's been a whirlwind week of reopenings in Northeast Ohio, including restaurant dining rooms, salons, fitness centers, and B&B locations. Tonight, Brandon Simmons tells us what else is open and what we're still waiting on.
We are open. Ohio is getting back to business. The last couple weeks, several industries have reopened. Remember, personal services like salons, barbershops, and tattoo parlors opened on May 15th, along with shopping malls and retail. No major issues there. Restaurant patios were a different story. They got out of hand early on, but for the most part, restaurants are, quote, doing what they need to do, end quote, according to Governor Mike DeWine. Next came indoor dining on May 21st, followed by several industries just yesterday. Gyms, bowling alleys, and pools were allowed to open, off to a good start. BMV's opened too, but were quickly overwhelmed by the sheer number of customers on day one. So what's left? A major part of a full economic restart, daycares will open again on June 1st, along with banquet halls serving up to 300 people. Left off the list of openings are some of Ohio's favorite tourist destinations. Here's Governor Mike DeWine earlier this week.
I have no idea when Cedar Point will be able to open. Our kids and grandkids love to go there. We would love to go there, but we're certainly not there yet.
No Cedar Point and Ohio's largest indoor water park, Kalahari, also remains closed, although the company website says they'll be back on June 5th. Museums, zoos, and casinos are still closed too. DeWine has hinted before that these would be some of the last to return.
We're not there yet as far as, mass gatherings of people.
Now, throughout the process, DeWine has emphasized that his decisions are based on science. So if the data supports it, that's likely when we'll see tourism open back up. I'm Brandon Simmons, 3 News.
And a recent study shows Cleveland tourism is worth $9.4 billion to the region and supports more than 71,000 jobs. However, of course, that was before the coronavirus pandemic shut down travel almost overnight. Yes, these are hard times for tourism. Mark Namick takes a look at the state of the local industry and how city leaders are planning a jumpstart.
The city, long derided as the mistake on the lake, has proven to be anything but, especially with tourists who continue to come here in record numbers year after year. In 2018, the region attracted 19.2 million visitors, more than 700,000 over the previous year, a nearly 4% increase that outpaced both the U.S. and Ohio visitor growth. 2019 was on pace for another record, and in 2020, Destination Cleveland, the region's tourism bureau, was hoping to hit 20 million visitors. Today, tourism doesn't exist.
This industry took the first and biggest wave, almost like the first tsunami wave in this whole crisis. It was a devastating effect right away.
Tourism officials, along with Cleveland Mayor Frank Jackson and Cuyahoga County Executive Armin Budish, announced today plans to restart the local tourism industry, an effort dubbed Undefeated. It has 3 parts. Beginning in June, they will try to get restaurants, bars, and hotels to pledge to follow the best practices when it comes to keeping places clean and safe. Those that sign on can get sanitation kits to distribute to their patrons. The Cuyahoga County executive hoping to win approval to divert $700,000 in federal pandemic money to the cause. In July, Part 2. Tourism officials will target local residents to reconnect and rediscover the region's resources, from the rock hall and museums that are open to visiting the lakefront. In August, if the pandemic allows, they will look beyond to connect with the family and friends of locals to make a road trip to town. Though unsure, the region without baseball, concerts, and big events will catch their interest.
Helping to create a sense of safety and health and wellness. That's going to be key to getting people comfortable to getting back. And the more we do it collectively, the more we do it together, the better off we're going to be.
The officials on the call sounded optimistic today, but also realistic, acknowledging that they have no idea what the pandemic will look like a month or 2 from now. So everything's subject to change. Reporting from Cleveland, Mark Namick, 3 News.
New at 6, another postponement to tell you about, this time Cleveland's July 4th fireworks show. It's being rescheduled for Saturday, September 19th. Organizers say the safety and well-being of the community were top of mind in this decision.
Changing directions now, he is ready. Browns quarterback Baker Mayfield talked to the media today and says he's coming at this season with a different perspective. The voice of the Browns, Jimmy Donovan, joined us now with the details. You're smiling, Jimmy. Good stuff?
I would put it this way. I think you're right. He better be ready, because last year was a tough year for him personally. He was not very good last year. He'd be the first to admit that. Baker Mayfield realizes this is a huge year for him personally, to kind of get the bad taste out of his mouth to what happened last year when he really fell apart. The team around him fell apart, but he fell apart too. So right now he's training down in Austin, Texas, as he gets ready for this season. He realizes this too. It's all on him right now to be ready because of this virtual offseason that's going on for the Browns and the rest of the NFL because of the pandemic situation. He cannot be on the field with his teammates and, more importantly, with his coaches right now. So he's going to have to shoulder the load. So year 3 for any player, but specifically a young quarterback, is critical, and Mayfield knows it.
there's no doubt year 3 is always a big year in these contracts and timing wise. Everybody knows that, but I'm not going to put any added pressure on myself. There's no need for that, because if I win, good things will happen. Good things will happen for our team and the guys around me, and that's the most important part. So if I play better, that's why quarterback is one of those positions. It's the hardest in sports. If I play better, our team's going to do better.
I agree with him 1,000%, Russ, but let's lay it out on the table for you. It's a third year for him. He had a glorious rookie season. He had a bad sophomore season. He needs a big year 3, because for a quarterback like Mayfield, in the third year, the Browns will make a decision. Do we give him a long-term, very, very rich contract, or do we have to look elsewhere? That's how important the quarterback decision is.
A pivotal year. That's fascinating information, Jimmy. Thanks a lot. We will see you later in sports. Thanks.
Okay.
Well, he spent almost 2 full months in the hospital being treated for COVID-19. And today we are so happy to share with you a Parma man went home, but not before a huge send-off by the same people who helped him survive. There he is. That is 74-year-old Jerry Gustin. You can see he was clapped out after 57 days in the hospital, which included 23 days in the ICU. He was reunited with his loved ones and praised the care he received at UH while he was recovering. Gustin also had a reminder for everyone, asking all Ohioans to take precautions against coronavirus, wear your mask, and continue, please, to practice physical distancing.
Wow, fantastic for him and his family. Still to come tonight, we were told to stay home, but doctors are saying there's some very good reasons to leave the house, and guess what? That includes doctor visits. What local health experts want you, and especially parents, to know.
And Disney announces its reopening date, but it will be a whole new world at the park. The big changes they're making. Also, hi, Betsy.
Hi there, whole new world. I see what you did there. Clever, that girl. All right, this right there, friends, that's Bertha. Bertha is going to be visiting Northeast Ohio. That's right, we can't have any other visitors. No, it's got to be a tropical depression that makes a visit. That means rain for tomorrow, and we're still expecting changes by the weekend. I have all the forecast details for you straight ahead. Scofflaw.
What Matters Most is sponsored by the Calvetta Brothers Floor Show. It's time to fall in love again with your home.
Welcome back. While the world waits for a vaccine to fight COVID-19, doctors are urging parents to not forget about the vaccines we already have for kids.
Because of the pandemic, there has been an alarming drop in the number of kids getting vaccinated.
Senior health correspondent Monica Robbins explains what parents can do now to keep their kids safe from other dangerous diseases.
No child or parent enjoys a visit to the pediatrician, but now doctors are seeing an alarming trend that could potentially cause a bigger problem. The American Academy of Pediatrics says there's been a 60% drop in pediatric visits across the country during the COVID-19 pandemic. Our local hospitals have seen the decrease too.
It's time to get the children back to be seen by the doctor.
Dr. Abugali of Metro Health worries what she might see if kids continue to skip their needed vaccines.
I've seen meningitis, bacterial meningitis. I've seen measles. I don't want to see this again. And those vaccines work very well, and they work when there is a large number of children are vaccinated.
Timing is also critical if the child is on a vaccine schedule. Waiting puts them at higher risk.
There are other diseases out there right now other than COVID. Measles exists in the community, pertussis exists in the community, and these diseases can be fatal to children.
A child's checkup can screen for mental health problems and take care of flare-ups of chronic conditions such as asthma, allergies, and diabetes, which left untreated can become worse. And doctors have taken precautions to make sure their offices are safe to visit. But if you're still unsure, there is something you can do.
Call your doctor's office first, and they will tell you if it's something that can be safely managed at home, or if it's something that your child should be evaluated for.
And it's more than just vaccines. Hearing and vision tests are just as important. And for little ones, wellness checks can detect signs of autism or other issues where early intervention is critical. So doctors are telling parents, don't hesitate. Get your kids back on track. Monica Robbins, 3 News.
The happiest place on earth is going to look very different when it opens back up. Disney announced today it plans to reopen Magic Kingdom and Animal Kingdom on July 11th. Epcot and Hollywood Studios will be opening on July 15th. Strict safety measures will be in place with hand washing stations, plexiglass barriers, contactless payment systems, and all guests and workers will be required to wear masks. There will also be temperature and health screenings on site. All makes a lot of sense. Laura, it was so humid out there today. I knew it because I walked out. It was a bad hair day for me, so I did understand that. But it's as warm today as yesterday, I was told.
Yeah, that's what I hear. You know, first of all, you never have a bad hair day. Let me just say that.
Thank you.
But yes, beautiful weather. Today in Cleveland, it felt like the happiest place on earth. Beautiful weather, and I think I'm going to thank Betsy for that today.
Oh, now here's the deal. I can't take the credit when it's good, and I can't take the credit when it's bad. So I just don't take credit at all. I'm more in marketing, not production. Let it settle in. There you go. Okay. As far as the next few hours go, we have a beautiful evening on tap. Temperatures are going to settle back into the 70s. Note that the clouds are on the increase. We've had a lot of cloud cover through the day today. That is definitely a sign of things changing, but the cloud cover that's coming in is probably not what we want to deal with, and we'll talk more about that coming up. The clouds that we did help to hold down the temperatures. The real core of the hot air is moving out, and that allowed the temperatures to hold down too. So we're currently still in the 80s across Northeast Ohio, upper 80s in tropical Dover. That's our hot spot right now, but relatively speaking, we're still not dealing with terribly muggy air. Yeah, it's on the humid side. Our glass is about half full today as far as the relative humidity goes. Remember, that's how much moisture is in the air relative to how much the air could hold. So our glass is half full, not completely uncomfortable, but not totally comfortable either. All right, well, that little bit of dry air that we did help to keep the rain at bay at least, but things are about to change on us. We have a couple different things to talk about on the big picture. Number one is Bertha. That's the tropical depression that was sitting over South Carolina earlier, and it continues to move northward. That changes our forecast for tomorrow dramatically. And then if we go west, we see an area of low pressure. This is an upper level low. This will kind of meander its way along as we go through Thursday night and into Friday. So my fear is that Bertha will slow things down a little bit. We may have some clouds that linger over into Saturday, but right now the biggest news of all is that the core of that hot air is out of here and the cooler air is moving in. So once that low goes by Friday, we're going to see much cooler air in here by the weekend. Now, talking about Bertha, the storm is moving away from its energy source. Remember, a tropical system has to have tropical water in order to get its energy. It's basically just a warm core system. It starts to move away from that tropical energy, and now it's kind of dealing with the atmosphere at whole. It's got to fight with other systems and all that stuff, so it's weakening. But notice the track that it's taking. It's on a beeline for us. So let's take a look at how this goes down in your National Design-R hour-by-hour forecast. We're going to hold temperatures in the upper 60s to near 70. By tomorrow morning, we will have rain coming in. Could be potentially heavy rain at times, especially over toward the state line area as we go through the day tomorrow. West of us, west of, let's say, Cleveland to Mansfield, I think you're going to have a dry day, mostly cloudy skies. Rain chances linger into midday and maybe the afternoon. And then by the time we hit Thursday evening and then into Friday, here comes that upper level low, and we're going to continue with the rain chances as we get into Friday. Universal Windows Direct forecast has us still at 83 tomorrow. That will not be the case east. I think we're going to get stuck in the 70s over toward the state line, but west, those 80s will be popping with the rain and rumbles around in the morning especially. We'll have a little bit of sun on Friday, then rain catches up to us again. We're going to go 60s as we go through the weekend, but right now, Russ, next week as we start into June, we'll be right back into the uptick as we're expecting 80 or so by a week from now.
Makes sense. All right, Betsy, thank you.
You bet.
Coming up, Jimmy has more with Baker Mayfield. Stay with us.
This sports report is sponsored by the people-pleasing people at Serra Auto Park in Akron.
Hi, everybody. Your sports headlines on this Wednesday from the farm. When Baker Mayfield talks, we all listen. And we listened today as he met with the local media and discussed the upcoming season. Mayfield's been given everything he needs to be successful by the Browns management this year. Better offensive line, tight ends to throw to, a rejuvenated running attack, and another new head coach. Kevin Stefanski, imagine this, becomes the 4th head coach for Mayfield as he goes into his 3rd year.
Kevin's obviously an extremely sharp guy, and he's able to relate to everybody, and that's one of the best parts about him, being around him so far. And just hearing his message, it's everything he does is with a purpose. It's a very deliberate message, and he has everybody believing in that on the staff.
Interesting story coming up late this afternoon. Jadeveon Clowney, you know, the pass rushing extraordinaire coming from the Seattle Seahawks. He's a free agent, and the Browns have shown interest. In fact, according to Adam Schefter of ESPN, the most interest of any team in the NFL. And they've presented to him the richest offer than any other team in the NFL, and he's turned the Browns down. The waiting game continues. He's a defensive end without a team. And finally, Major League Baseball. When is it going to start? I don't know. They've got problems, negotiation problems. The money seems to be at the top of the list. The problem, the players are very upset about the financial proposal the owners made to them. Too severe a salary cut across the board, but especially to the highest paid players in the games. They want to start in July. Boy, I got to tell you, Russ, if they can't get this thing started in July, you have to wonder if they can get it started at all. And especially if basketball and hockey start and baseball doesn't, not a good look.
Wow. All right, Jimmy. Thank you so much. And we thank you for watching. Jimmy and Laura, and for Sarah, back at 7 o'clock for Front Row.
The NBC Nightly News is just minutes away. Have a wonderful night, everyone.